There are moments when time doesn't collapse, but changes its shape, when it feels neither fast nor slow, only suspended. And I remember standing in one of those moments, surrounded by quiet voices and sterile light, while someone I loved gently crossed a threshold I could not follow. It wasn't the stillness in the room that I remember most vividly, but the strange sense that something sacred had just unfolded, something unseen, something final, and yet not at all like an ending, more like the soft closing of a door followed by the hush of a new beginning. We speak so often about death as if we understand it, as if the body in front of us holds the entire story. But when you stand beside someone who has just stepped out of their body, you begin to feel, with aching clarity, that the body is not the sum of the person you loved. What remains is not absence, but mystery, not silence, but a question. And that question often comes not with drama, but with stillness. Where are they now in this exact moment? Now that the breath has gone and the body has surrendered its weight to gravity. It is in this quiet, this suspended breath between what we see and what we believe, that the soul begins to reach for answers not shaped by science or sentiment, but by truth. And the truth, if we are willing to receive it, is that this moment is not the end. Scripture does not veil the mystery of death behind symbols or empty reassurances. Instead, it reveals something far more solid, something as old as the dust we come from and as enduring as the Spirit who gave it life. Ecclesiastes says it simply and without poetry. The dust returns to the earth as it was, and the Spirit returns to God who gave it. Not in time, not eventually, but in the moment of separation, the soul returns to the one who shaped it in the beginning.
And Paul, who had stared death in the face more times than most of us could bear, wrote not as a man speculating, but as one who had seen too much to doubt. To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. Not in some distant future, but in the very instant that breath leaves the lungs and the heart forgets how to beat. This is not a poetic idea for comforting the grieving. It is the core of Christian hope, that what lies ahead is not shadow, but presence, not waiting, but arrival, and that the soul, untethered from its earthly weight, is not lost, but home. I have held on to this truth like a thread of gold woven into the grief, not because it removes the sorrow, but because it gives it shape, a direction, a destination. And when I picture the one I loved now, I do not imagine emptiness or fading light, but the unmistakable nearness of God. Jesus, when he told the story of the rich man and Lazarus, did not describe a fading consciousness or a soul adrift in fog. He spoke of awareness, of memory, of recognition, and more than that, he spoke of a separation that is instant, a reality that begins not after time, but beyond it. Lazarus is not asleep, he is comforted. The rich man is not unaware. He remembers, he pleads, he feels, and through it all, we are reminded that the soul, after death, is not reduced, but awakened. This is the breath between worlds, the moment the unseen becomes more real than what we thought was solid, the moment the eternal welcomes what was always meant to endure, the moment the soul remembers its origin and returns, not in fear, but in fullness. And when that moment comes for those we love or for us, it will not be darkness that greets us, but light, not confusion, but the voice of the one who has waited patiently, whispering stillness into every heartbeat until the final breath led us home.
Somewhere, beyond the final heartbeat, beyond the silence that follows loss, there is a place where the soul opens its eyes, not eyes of flesh, but of memory, awareness, and recognition. And in that place, the question we carry so often in grief begins to find its answer. Do we remember who we were? And more importantly, do we remember who we loved? The scriptures do not offer us a catalog of details about the afterlife, yet they give us something far more essential. They give us glimpses, moments where the veil lifts and truth shines through with quiet certainty. In the story Jesus told, the rich man and Lazarus both cross the boundary of death, and yet they do not dissolve into silence. They speak, they feel, they remember. The rich man recalls his brothers who are still alive. He recognizes Abraham. He knows who he is, even in judgment. His soul, though separated from his body, has not forgotten its name or its sorrow. These details are not incidental. They are deliberate. They tell us that the soul does not lose its shape when it leaves the earth. It does not become some vague presence without anchor or self. It remains fully itself, aware, conscious, and capable of remembering the very lives and relationships that once gave a joy or pain. And then there is the mountain, the one where Jesus took Peter, James, and John, and for a few holy minutes, the curtain between now and forever was drawn back. There stood Moses and Elijah, centuries removed from earthly life, yet unmistakably present. There were no introductions, no explanations, and yet the disciples knew them. Somehow, beyond the limitations of language or history, they were known, and in that knowing we are given another glimpse into the shape of eternity. Because identity in heaven is not discarded, it is revealed. When Jesus rose from the grave, he did not return as an abstraction or a spirit beyond recognition. He spoke to Mary, and she knew his voice. He showed his wounds to Thomas, and Thomas believed. He broke bread with two men on the road, and only then did they see who he was. The body had changed, glorified, and made eternal, yet the heart, the presence, the essence remained familiar, unmistakably him. And if this is true of him, the firstborn from the dead, then it must be true for us as well, not in imitation, but in promise. Heaven, then, is not a place where the past is erased, but a place where it is healed and fulfilled. The soul will not forget those it has loved in purity. It will not be asked to abandon its connections or sever its memory. Rather, it will be allowed to know, truly and completely, without distortion or loss, in a way that was never fully possible in this life, burdened by sin and separation. I believe we will recognize them, not through the familiar curve of a smile or the sound of a voice, though perhaps those too, but through something deeper, something that surpasses the physical and reaches into the unshakable knowing of spirit to spirit, a recognition not of appearance, but of presence. And more than that, I believe we will be recognized, not as we were at our most broken, nor as we hoped to be, but as we were always meant to be, whole, unafraid, and fully known.
Paul once wrote that now we see only a reflection, as in a dim mirror, but then we shall see face to face, not through fog, not through memory, but in perfect clarity. What was fragmented here will be complete there. What was doubted will become obvious. What was hoped for will be real. That is what the soul remembers. Not just names and faces, but the shape of love, the truth of connection, the echo of eternity that always lived quietly beneath the surface of every goodbye. And if that memory lives in us now, like a seed hidden deep in the soil of our spirit, then perhaps heaven is not a strange place at all, but the only place where all memory finally finds rest.
There is a silence that no song can lift and no voice can reach. A silence born not from the distance between us, but from the realization that someone we love may have chosen to remain outside the embrace of the one who gave them life. This thought arrives quietly, often in the stillness after the morning is done, when everyone else has gone back to their lives and the prayers you once whispered for that person still linger, unanswered, somewhere between memory and surrender. It's not a theoretical pain. It wears the face of someone we knew intimately, someone whose laughter we still remember without effort, someone whose presence shaped the contours of our life, and now whose spiritual absence haunts the edges of our hope. When Jesus spoke of the road to life, he didn't veil it in sentiment or soften its edges with polite reassurance. Instead, he spoke with an aching urgency, describing a narrow way that few find, a door that stands open yet is passed by, and choices that echo beyond the veil of this world into something lasting and unchangeable. I've sat with these words in the quiet hours of night, reading them slowly as if they might speak differently the next time. And I found myself whispering into that unseen space, not out of rebellion, but out of longing, a simple, aching question that remains unanswered. Where are they now? Scripture does not satisfy this question with neat conclusions or guarantees dressed as comfort. Rather, it gives us something deeper, something both heavier and more solid. A God who is perfectly just, whose ways are not an extension of our logic, but a height above it, whose love is not measured by what we feel, but by what he did.
Isaiah tells us that his thoughts are not our thoughts, that his ways soar above ours like the sky stretches over the sea, and Revelation offers a glimpse of a moment we can scarcely imagine, a day when every tear will be gently wiped away, not by the passing of time, but by the hand of God himself, who somehow, in his mercy, will bring peace even to the deepest grief. I do not pretend to understand how that will happen, how the ache of separation can exist beside perfect joy, or how memory and peace will learn to live together. But I believe that if God is truly who he says he is, then whatever he restores will be fuller, truer, and more complete than anything sorrow has broken here. This does not erase the urgency that beats beneath these thoughts, nor does it absolve us of the calling to pray for those we love with a desperation rooted in eternity, to live in such a way that our hope becomes contagious, and to speak truth even when it's costly, because the reality of forever is not a poetic metaphor, it is the deepest weight we carry. And if there is still time, if they still breathe, then heaven's invitation remains open, and love compels us to keep extending it, not through force or fear, but through a life that quietly reflects the grace we've received. And if there is no longer breath, then we place their name and our questions into the only hands wide enough to carry both judgment and mercy without contradiction. Hands that once stretched across wood and blood to open the gates of heaven itself. So yes, there are days when I feel that emptiness, when the thought of their absence from eternity feels heavier than words can hold. But I do not let that weight drown me, because I know that God is not finished, not with the story, not with the sorrow, and not with me. Until the day all things are made new, I will hold both grief and hope together, trusting that the silence I feel now is not the final word.
There is something we rarely say out loud, even when we believe it, that even the deepest love we've known on earth is only the beginning of what love was meant to be. The bonds we hold sacred, the quiet moments shared between parent and child, the vows whispered in dim sanctuaries, the friendships that carried us through seasons we thought we wouldn't survive, all of these, for all their beauty, are only shadows of something greater. Jesus once said that in the resurrection, people will neither marry nor be given in marriage, but will be like the angels in heaven, not distant, not detached, but beyond the limitations that once defined their relationships here. It is a sentence that, for many, stirs confusion and sometimes even sorrow, as if the loss of earthly structure means the loss of connection itself. But perhaps the truth it reveals is far more beautiful than we first imagined. Because what if we have mistaken structure for substance? What if heaven does not dissolve our relationships, but restores them to something fuller than biology or ceremony could ever hold? When I think of family in heaven, I no longer picture familiar meals or old photographs preserved in perfect light. I picture something far more profound, the soul of another, known without fear or filter, a kind of recognition that needs no words and carries no pain, a connection that isn't held together by memory, but by perfect love. Here on earth, even our closest relationships carry weight. The weight of unmet expectations, unspoken wounds, and the slow erosion of time. We love, but we also misunderstand. We reach out, but sometimes we miss. Even when the love is real, it is rarely without splinters. But in heaven, all of that falls away. We will not only recognize one another, we will finally know one another, deeply and without confusion. The barriers that once stood between us, the things we never said, the apologies we never gave or received, they will no longer hold any power. What remains will be pure, unbreakable affection, rooted not in need or obligation, but in the shared joy of being children of the same Father.
And it won't end with those we called family here. That circle will expand beyond anything we can now imagine, to include every soul who was ever redeemed, every face once bowed in prayer, every name written in the book of life. We will not relate to one another by category, by bloodline or history, but by the eternal truth that we belong, fully and forever, to the household of God. This is not to erase the beauty of what we knew here. In fact, I believe heaven will not flatten those memories, but elevate them. A mother will know her child, not just as she once held him in her arms, but as he was always meant to be, free, whole, radiant with purpose. A spouse will see the one they once walked beside not just as a partner in time, but as a soul glorified, shining with the image of Christ. What we loved in part will become whole. What we feared to lose will be returned in a form we never dared to expect. And at the center of all of it will be the one who made such love possible. Not just the source of relationship, but the fulfillment of it. For in that place we will not love God and others separately. We will love God in one another, and we will be loved by Him through every soul we meet. There will be no jealousy, no longing, no fear of being forgotten or left behind. The love we once tried to protect so desperately will finally be safe, not because we hold it tightly, but because He holds us all within it. So when I think of those I've lost, and when I wonder what it will be like to see them again, I no longer imagine returning to what was. I imagine stepping into what always was meant to be, where love has no edge, no wound, no goodbye, where family is not limited by history, but expanded by eternity. And in that place we will know we were never just family by chance. We were made for something far more.
There are truths that comfort us in loss, and then there are truths that call us into something deeper, not just peace, but purpose. Eternity, when understood not as a distant promise, but as a present reality, does more than soothe our fear of death. It transforms the way we walk through life. If heaven is real, not as a vague hope or sentimental vision, but as a promise sealed by the resurrection of Christ, then every ordinary moment here begins to shine with quiet weight. The way we speak, the way we love, the way we forgive, none of it is small anymore. Everything is part of a story that does not end in the dust. There is a passage in Paul's letter to the Corinthians that I return to often, especially on the days when this world feels heavy and strange. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. These are not the words of a man who lived a life of ease. These are the words of someone who had suffered deeply and still learned to see his suffering through the lens of what was waiting on the other side. When we know, truly know, that eternity is real, something inside us shifts. We no longer hold grudges as tightly because we remember that heaven holds no bitterness. We no longer chase the illusions of success or applause because we see how quickly they vanish. We begin to understand that the people around us are not interruptions or burdens, but eternal souls, walking mysteries, each one invited to the same table we are headed toward. And so the way we love them begins to change. We start to speak more gently. We listen with greater patience. We reach across old divides and choose reconciliation over pride. We stop wasting time pretending that pain doesn't exist, and instead begin to ask what it might be trying to teach us. We live, not perfectly, but more awake, more aware that every heartbeat is borrowed, and every breath is a gift.
And if eternity is not just about us, if it is also about those we love, then we cannot afford to keep silent about the one who makes it possible. The gospel is not an idea to be admired. It is a lifeline to be shared, not with pressure or performance, but with the same tenderness we have received. When Paul spoke to the jailer in Philippi, he did not give him a sermon. He gave him a promise. Believe in the Lord Jesus, and you will be saved, you and your household. This was not a guarantee that faith can be forced, but a vision of what is possible when light enters one heart and begins to spread through the home like a dawn that cannot be shut out. So we pray, not out of fear, but from love. We carry names on our lips every morning, not because we are anxious, but because we trust that God hears every word and is far more patient than we are. We live in a way that makes people curious, not about religion, but about hope, about grace, about what makes someone walk through grief with steady eyes and open hands. There may be people in your life now, perhaps even under your own roof, who have grown distant, whose hearts feel closed, whose faces you see, but whose spirits you no longer seem to reach. And yet, as long as breath remains, the door is not shut. There is still time for mercy to move. And if you have made peace with heaven, but not yet with someone here, do not wait. There is nothing noble in delay. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is the soil where eternity begins to grow in everyday ground. Let your words bless. Let your silence soften. Let your presence remind the people near you that they matter not just for a season, but for forever. Because one day, this life will fold into something greater. One day, the temporary will give way to the eternal, and we will look back with clearer eyes and see how even the smallest act of love carried the weight of glory. And until that day comes, we walk, sometimes limping, sometimes singing, but always toward the light that does not end.
There are few hopes more sacred than the one that tells us this, that love does not end when a heart stops beating, and that separation, no matter how deep it feels now, is not forever. Heaven is not a metaphor for peace. It is a place, a home prepared not by our efforts, but by the hands of the one who loved us before the world began. And in that home, the ones we miss are not forgotten, not lost in some vast, unknowable light, but held, fully alive, fully known, and waiting. The reunion is not a dream we tell ourselves in the dark to feel better. It is a promise, spoken by Christ, sealed by blood, witnessed by those who saw the empty tomb and never lived the same way again. He said, "I go to prepare a place for you." And he meant it. He always meant it. So if your heart aches with missing, if your prayers still carry the weight of a name you can't say without trembling, let this truth settle in gently. This is not the end of their story, and it is not the end of yours. If you have not yet trusted the one who makes that reunion possible, you still can. Not through the perfect words or the perfect life, but through the quiet surrender of a heart that finally says, "I believe you." And if you already believe, let that belief take root in how you live, in how you love, in how you carry the memory of those who've gone before you, not with despair, but with expectation. Because one day, this waiting will end, the tears will dry, the distance will vanish, and joy, real, unstoppable joy, will take its place. Until that day, hold on, walk gently, forgive freely, love with your whole heart, and live as someone who knows what's coming. Because the reunion is real, and the best is yet to come.
If this has reached a quiet place in you, help carry it further. Share it, send it, speak it, not for numbers, not for noise, but so someone else might find the hope they've been too tired to name. May your days be filled with light. May your grief become grace, and may your heart stay open to the one who waits with arms wide enough to gather every lost piece of you and make it whole again.